For years, I've heard photographers say that if you want softer light, just add more diffusion. I believe that myself for more than 20 years, but it turns out that isn't always true. After conducting a series of tests, I discovered that there was a piece of the puzzle that I was missing. And in today's video, I'm going to show you what diffusion actually does and how to use it to transform your work. Let's begin with a simple test and a standard reflector because I think it helps to illustrate one of the key ideas that we'll be talking about throughout this video. For this setup, I photographed the same scene twice. First, I used the reflector by itself, and then I placed a sheet of diffusion material in front of the reflector and photographed it again. Now, you can get diffusion in the form of gel sheets or in fabric. I'm going to be using both today and a DIY approach, so just hold on for that. You'll see all of them in use. But as we compare the two images, you'll notice that the light spreads over a larger area once the diffusion is added. And to show you what's really happening here, I borrowed an idea from some tests that I conducted a few years ago while making a video about beauty dishes. I'll link to that video up here if you want to check it out. For this test, I placed a black foam board perpendicular to the reflector and photographed the beam of light. Without the diffusion, the beam remains relatively concentrated. Once the Roscoe gel is added, the beam starts to spread. So, when we're using a hard light source, diffusion does exactly what photographers say it does. It softens the light. The problem is that many photographers assume the same thing will happen with every light source, and that's where things start to fall apart and get interesting. For my next test, I photographed Daniel using a 120 centimeter softbox. I started with the softbox by itself, and then I added a heavyweight shower curtain liner as a DIY option. And finally, I added a 6x6 or 180 centimeter by 180 centimeter Westcott scrim gem with 2 layers of 3/4 stop diffusion directly in front of the light as a professional option. Going into the test, I expected to see a fairly dramatic progression because if one layer of diffusion made a big difference before, surely 2 layers would make an even bigger difference this time. However, when I sat down and compared the images side by side, the differences were surprisingly small and largely unremarkable. If diffusion was spreading the light out effectively with the reflector, why wasn't I seeing a much bigger difference with the softbox? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that the reflector and the softbox are fundamentally different modifiers with fundamentally different starting points. The reflector produces a relatively directional beam of light, while the softbox is already scattering the light before it even reaches the front surface. In fact, if we look at some cross-section tests, we can see that the softbox is already spreading the light in multiple directions without any diffusion. At this point, adding another layer or 2 of diffusion directly in front of it isn't really going to change much. So while the first test confirmed what photographers believe about diffusion, this test suggested that there was still a piece to the puzzle missing. Then I started thinking about the design of the softbox itself. Inside the softbox, there is a significant gap between the flash tube and the internal diffuser, and then another gap before you get to the front diffuser. Perhaps that gap was more important than I realized. That's what led me to another experiment, and this time I photographed Etherio, but I changed one important variable. For the first setup, I placed the diffusion directly in front of the softbox, just like I'd done with Daniel, about 1 meter from his face. I also placed a black V-flat on camera right to prevent this light from bouncing back from the opposite wall and windows. That way, the light reaching the subject was coming almost entirely from the modifier and the diffusion material. Then I repeated the test, but this time I moved the softbox roughly 1 meter behind the diffusion material and positioned the diffusion roughly 1 meter again from the model. In order to make sure that I was only testing the effect of the diffusion, I added a grid to the softbox so that the light wouldn't bounce around the room before reaching the diffusion material. When I compare the results, the differences become much more obvious. The images in the top row were photographed with the diffusion directly in front of the softbox. The images in the bottom row were photographed with the gap between the softbox and the diffusion. Suddenly, the highlights on the skin become smoother, the transitions between highlight and shadow becomes much more gradual, and the overall quality of the light appears noticeably softer. At first, I assumed that the diffusion itself was responsible for the change, but the more I analyzed the setup, the more I realized that something else was happening. By moving the softbox back, I'm no longer simply adding diffusion to it. Instead, I'm illuminating a much larger section of the diffusion material, and from the model's point of view, the glowing diffusion surface effectively becomes the light source. That distinction turns out to be incredibly important because the model is no longer just seeing a 120 centimeter circle. The model is now seeing a much larger illuminated surface, and the diffusion itself has effectively become the modifier. There's a big principle in photography that every photographer should know, and that is that the size of the light source relative to your subject determines how soft the light will be. So I like to just say that the larger the light source looks to your subject, the softer it will be, and the smaller it looks to them, the harder it will be. And when we light a large piece of diffusion material, what's happening is that entire surface is becoming the modifier. So if it is bigger than our original modifier, then that surface is going to make our light a lot softer. And so that's what I think is really happening here. To see if this idea held up, I went back to the reflector test. This time, instead of placing the diffusion directly in front of the reflector, I moved the reflector back so that it illuminated a much larger section of the diffusion. Looking at the results, we can see a significant change in the scene. In other words, the diffusion wasn't simply modifying the reflector anymore. The illuminated diffusion material became the modifier. One place where this principle becomes especially useful is when photographing larger scenes. For example, during this dance shoot, I used a large octabox overhead. I really liked the images, but there was a noticeable lighting gradient from the top of the frame to the bottom. On my next dance shoot, I approached the lighting completely differently. Instead of relying on a single modifier, I bounced a light into two large foam boards mounted near the ceiling. This setup is actually a lot simpler than it looks. If I had a white ceiling, I would have just bounced the light off of it, but because I don't, I had to put the foam boards up there to make sure that the light that was coming back off of the foam boards was neutral in color. If I bounced off the ceiling, it wouldn't have been very effective, and the light might have had a tint to it. Even with a single light bouncing off the foam boards, the light across the set looked more even than it did with the octabox. Next, I added a V-flat on the floor to reflect some of the light back up into the shadows. Finally, I added a second light and suspended an 8x8 foot Advantage gripwear silk above the set. I'm going to link to all the gear that I'm using today down in the description, so please check that out. At this point, the entire silk was illuminated by the light bouncing off the foam boards, and that became an extremely large and an extremely soft light source. The transitions became even smoother and more gradual, and the light was a lot more even head to toe. The principle is exactly the same one we saw in the earlier test. The diffusion isn't simply modifying the light anymore. The diffusion surface became the light source. In fact, this is one of the concepts that we'll be exploring during my advanced dance photography workshop on September 26th in my Chicago studio. Throughout the day, we'll be photographing professional dancers while experimenting with different approaches to shaping light and freezing motion as we explore movement, form, and timing. So what is the takeaway from all of this? I don't think that the lesson is simply that diffusion doesn't work, because clearly it does. I think the lesson is that adding diffusion by itself is not always what creates softer light. What really matters is what the subject sees. When the diffusion becomes a larger illuminated light source than the original modifier lighting it, the diffusion itself becomes the effective light source. That was the piece of the puzzle that I was missing. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and sign up for the bell. Also, check out this video over here if you want to see how I use diffusion material as my background on this really cool NFL shoot. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.